Good morning, students. If we look back into history, we have seen that world over people have struggled for liberty and equality. For example, blacks in USA, Dalits in India, blacks in South Africa, and many more other examples can be quoted. Today, we are going to study and understand how the people of South Africa struggled against the apartheid regime and in their country and freed themselves of this oppressive government and its policies. But before understanding the concept of apartheid, we need to go back to South African history. Africa, like Asia, was also a British colony. But in South Africa, during the 17th and 18th centuries, the trading companies from Europe occupied it with arms and forces. But like India, a large number of whites settled in South Africa and they became the local rulers. So it was this white minority community which actually practiced a system of racial discrimination against the black majority in South Africa and called it apartheid system, which was purely based on skin color. To understand this apartheid system, we need to understand the meaning of the word apartheid. Apartheid is an African word which means segregation or separation, a state of being apart, and its literal meaning is aparthood. The white minority government from 1948 until the early 1990s practiced this system of legitimized racial segregation and separation of the black majority in their own country, that was South Africa. The basic characteristic of this practice was authoritarian, socio-political, and economic white supremacy and their prosperity, which further ensured that the South Africans were dominated socially, politically, and economically by the nation's white minority population. To further understand how it was practiced in South Africa against the blacks, we need to understand the social classification of the society. The society was classified into 4 racial groups based on appearances, ancestry, socioeconomic status, and many more other criteria. The 4 major racial groups were the whites, Asians or Indians, non-whites or colored people, and the black. But the system ensured that the whites had the highest status in the society and the blacks were the most discriminated on the basis of their skin color, despite the fact that 3/4 population of the nation was of the native blacks. Now, how this was practiced, how this apartheid system was practiced. Under this system, there was racial segregation of the blacks, and they were forced to live separately from other racial groups, and they were the discriminated most. For example, they could not have interracial marriages, meaning marriage between different racial groups was completely prohibited, and if it was there, they were forced to annul it. They had separate hotels, colleges, hospitals, trains, taxis, buses, schools, beaches, theaters, etc., and many more. And signboards such as whites only appeared in public places. Blacks, they could not enter a white dominated area, and if they had to enter, they needed a permit, and which was purely for work purpose. They could also not visit churches where white worshipped. They were further intentionally provided services which were very much inferior to those of whites, Indians, and colored people. They were also banned from joining any political party. They were denied any political rights, and any kind of opposition by them was not allowed, which was considered threatening to the government. Now imagine you being living in a free nation, you cannot travel freely within your own country. Such was the plight of South African black people. They were forced to study in African language only, and they could not choose what they wanted to study. There were many more oppressive ways and means to exploit them, and the worst thing was, this was all legitimate practice whereby no black could seek justice for this discrimination and terrible treatment. Despite the fact since 1950s that the blacks, colored and Indians fought against this apartheid system under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, but it was much later, around in 1994, that the blacks were able to free their country from the white oppressive minority government and end this apartheid system, the most inhuman treatment given to any community within their own free country.